Hello and a very, very warm welcome to Janvi, who's been my angel investor in people. If I were to call her that, it's not only has she come in today for the second time, she's given me a lot of good friends, good guests. I'm very thankful and I hope she has new friends now and she can keep on leading me to some interesting minds and mindscapes in that sense. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure to help you out for getting guests, and it's really good to come back to this platform and have a chat with you.
Thank you. So this youth series that I've been working on has reached the letter L uh, as of right now. One of the things that has been striking me, I'll give you a bit of context before I get to the letter
Mhm.
and what it stands for today. Uh, I am a I am a digger of minds, if I were to call it that. As a writer also, and as a person also, I like to know what is going on in your head and what is going on in your mind and heart. Uh, it makes me feel very good to see the connections we all have with each other as human beings. Something
Mhm.
which is not happening on the superficial level. If you realize there are so many barriers we are drawing, uh, whether right or wrong sometimes. So on one hand, there are the conservatives who will say earlier it was not like this. Why is it happening like this now? On the other hand, there are the new generation people who have far more definitive ways of being. Okay. We have a guest who's joining us.
Oh, mm, nice.
Yes. So, um, can you put your phone on horizontal mode, please? Hello, Sakshi. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Vanti. Hello.
Can you put your phone on the horizontal mode if you can?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, Janvi meet Sakshi, she's one of the lovely people you've introduced me to.
Yes.
And
Hi, Sakshi.
Hi, Sunny.
uh, okay, uh, so because we've already began recording, I'll get to the meat of the matter quickly. So
Yeah.
Sakshi, I was telling her that we are on the letter L as far as the youth series is concerned.
Okay.
And the background is that so many barriers keep on stopping us from being one within one another, whether old generation or new generation. There is this
Yeah.
set by the traditions that this is what you ought to be, this is what you cannot be.
Hmm.
Similarly, the young generation has their own barriers of no, you're not cool enough, or this
Mm.
is how you ought to be or not to be. And I find both of them have the same stringent connectivity problems with each other. Uh,
Hmm.
Humanity of emotions and minds and mindscapes keeps on attracting me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the one thing that I find is that as people we are growing lonelier because of these barriers. So the
Hmm.
topic
Yeah.
I want to discuss is loneliness.
Hmm.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
Janvi, you want to go first on, do you think it's a relevant topic and how do you relate to something like this?
Definitely, it's a very relevant topic because, as you know, that I've been traveling from places to places, cities to cities. It's very relevant to the people who are trying something new and who are trying to fit in different sectors or different categories of people. So yeah, it's. I think people should talk about that and they should be comfortable talking about that. And even though I am a very social person, a very extrovert, like I'm very friendly and I'm open to conversations and all of that, but after shifting cities I have understood that it's very difficult to make new friends at this age because people have their own comfort zones and they don't want to get out of that, and it's very difficult to just take their guards down and try to understand them and be friends with them. So yeah, I think it's a very relevant topic.
Oh, lovely. Sakshi, you agree? Is it difficult to make friends?
I do agree with what she said. It's difficult to make friends because many people have certain perspectives and like different maturity levels. So at this age when people generally know what they want, what they don't want, they have an idea about it. So fitting into someone's idea or making someone else fit into your idea is kind of difficult because that person has already been the way that person is for almost 20 to 23 years and you have been a certain way. So even changing or being something else just to be friends with someone is also at the same time very difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
So primarily, this is one of the things that I have been wanting to discuss. Why would you be friends with me? We had nothing in common when we first spoke, except that Janvi came to me through another friend of yours called Tanvi.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
all I was told is there is this girl called Janvi and she is going to start connecting. But I think we have conversations on inane things, even sometimes on social media.
Yeah.
Uh, Sakshi claims to be a good friend, but she talks to me once in 8 months. I think I talk to Janvi far more often. But there is this connection between all of us,
Yeah.
which is absolutely non-negotiable. Like it's like I know I can pick up the phone and call you, or you can pick up the phone and call me about something. We may not have had that kind of interaction, but it's not a big deal for any of us. And I don't
Right.
belong to your circuit or those kind of backgrounds. So now, rather than getting it personal, what would be the reason why you're able to connect with a person who's a stranger like me or anybody else? What are the things that will make you help you connect easily? According to you, now that you've moved more cities than we have, uh, so how do you see it?
So what I think is letting your guard down is very important. So when Tanvi introduced me, I mean, so this is a very fun story I would like to tell. Was when I was shifting into Tanvi's house. So we were roommates for I think 1 year. So when I was shifting to her place, I was very. It was very difficult for me to change from a hostel to a society and to stay with strangers. Though they were my juniors in college, but still it was very difficult. But the kind of people that are around you, the comfort that they provide is very important. Like even when I came on this podcast for the first time, I was even asking you about what kind of topics are we going to talk about, what kind of conversation it's going to be about. So that obviously made me very anxious to talk to a person whom I don't even know. But it's fine. If you just have to take your guards down, try to understand the other person's mentality and perspective, and it's very easy to connect with people. And as designers and as being from a very creative background, it's very necessary to be empathetic to the people who are around you and talk to them and understand them.
So now Sakshi is already smiling. She says, "ये designer बोल दिया, मैं तो lawyer हूँ. मेरा तो काम झगड़ा करवाना है." Sakshi, do you see any connecting factors between people who are not necessarily known to each other or are kind of forced into situations like colleagues or uh, same home for a little while, or sometimes I remember when I was in software, I was staying in Lonavala with a friend for 6 months. So we were completely unlike each other, and I was this head in the clouds guy. He was a practical, good programmer. I was a lousy programmer, as was evident in 6 months from then, but we didn't know then. So how do you see connections happening between people who may not necessarily on the first go be open to meeting each other or growing into each other, if I were to call it that?
So, like she said, letting your guard down is like a very big thing. It is very important. And other thing I would say is patience, because you cannot expect the person to immediately be friends with you. Like if I am open to being friends with someone, that other person might not be okay at that moment. but that doesn't mean that that friendship would never work out. It's just that you need to have certain amount of patience, put in efforts, I'd say. And I have seen connections happen over very small things. So it actually doesn't depend on how you are as a person, but it also depends on your maturity level, I'll say. If you can connect over by your thoughts, or if you are on the same page over certain things, then it is very easy to start the conversation from there on, and then just as the conversation goes, the friendship will eventually go.
Okay. So while Janvi used that term, I would want to ask you first. She used the word anxious, which I find is a very easily bandied about word these days. Everybody is anxious about everything, and I find we were bored, worked up, but now the word has become anxious, stressed, and depressed, and those kind of words are happening. I find it very disheartening that these are used so easily, because these are conditions, but I think sometimes they are just uh, used far too easily, and even medical professionals may be wrong, according to me, using them so easily, so quickly. But once you realize that your heart is supposed to be broken throughout your life, then it becomes easy that what breaks it doesn't matter anymore. So, Sakshi, I want you to answer first, because while Janvi is preparing, I have a trick up my sleeve for that question. I want you to answer, what makes us anxious? What makes us lonely? Are the two interchangeable? Uh, how do you see it?
It's not interchangeable, because being anxious and being lonely are two different things. And
Okay.
at times, someone who is lonely or who is alone might also enjoy it for that moment, momentarily. It's not necessarily that, it's a bad emotion at always. But I'd say anxious is when a person doesn't know, like, that is how I would describe it, or that is sometimes what gets me, feel anxious, is not knowing what is going to happen in the future, no matter how much you try for it or how much hard you work for it. So that is something that makes me feel very anxious, as in I get restless, so I don't know what will happen, and then it becomes a cycle of thoughts. But loneliness, I'd say, is not related to anxiousness, because I mean, it is, you can say it's related, but you cannot interchange it, because being lonely is different than being anxious. A person can get anxious because he is feeling lonely at times. I don't have friends. What can I do? I'm so alone. I don't have anyone to talk to. So that can get a person anxious. But yeah, it's not interchangeable.
Okay. Janvi,
Also, I'd like to say that I'll take the leave now. I'm actually out. I was traveling, but I wanted to surprise her and also answer a few questions. So, uh, I'll we'll definitely get in touch. I have a bit of free time now, so we'll talk.
So we look forward to seeing you in another episode. Thank you for
Yes,
joining in.
I am free. I'll send you a message immediately after disconnecting. We can join up for a call on those days.
Okay. Thank you.
All the best for the
Bye.
podcast. Bye, Jandavi.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
That was a great surprise.
Yeah, she did ask me not to tell you.
Oh, that's
Um,
great.
uh, I thought I was as surprised at her saying yes. I think I must have asked her a couple of times, but her times and my times don't seem to match. So, going to the important part of the question that was in my mind, how do you define anxiousness for yourself? I'm saying for you in particular, not as a generic thing.
For me, I think that it's mostly related to the positive things and the negative things. So, some things can make me anxious when I'm really confident about my work and I have to present, but I am just overthinking about what will it go the way that I have thought about, because I'm confident about that work. So that is maybe a positive thing, that I've completed my work on time, but still I'm feeling very anxious. Or even meeting some friends that I haven't met for a long time. So that can make me anxious. But I think that's fine, because when I meet them, it's completely different. It's just gone. It's vanished. So that is there. And the negative thing is, maybe I'm anxious about um, trying new things, because initially in college I used to do a lot of things, like I used to anchor a lot of events, or organize a lot of events, communicate with a lot of people. But being in Trivandrum has made me a little very quiet as a person as whole. So that has made me very anxious, and it sometimes has makes me feel lonely, even though when I am in a group of people. So it's not about just being alone at home, but loneliness comes when, even if you're around a lot of people, but still you're lonely, you're feeling very sad, or I don't know, it's a very different feeling. And I've understood that feeling from the time I've stayed in Trivandrum. So that was a very anxious thing.
Have you made your peace with it, even if it is a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. Because that's a part of emotion that you need to understand once in your life. Because every time it can't be very happy or very social, going around with people, partying or traveling and all of that. I think it is very important to understand that feeling as well.
Okay. So I will not leave you there. I want to ask a couple of more questions in that nice area of discomfort. Uh, so what helps you make peace with it? What do you tell yourself while you're right in the middle of that kind of emotion? Because it's quite depleting, that emotion. Uh,
Hmm.
I I know I've traveled on work sometimes, not as much as you have for longer periods of time. But say even if you have gone to a new place and there is a evening to spare and there's nobody to
Hmm.
call because you don't know anybody in that place, and uh, just being with yourself uh,
Hmm.
is a challenge at times. So
Hmm.
how and what do you tell yourself? How have you made your peace with this?
Before answering this question, I would like to give an example, because it might
Please.
be relatable to the people who are watching this. Is when I came to Bangalore. So I was thinking, there are some of my school and college friends in Bangalore, but Bangalore is like very wide, and it's very difficult to go to the other place to meet them. So understanding how people are, it was very difficult for me to just think about, okay, I'm not going around with people. I'm not getting to spend time with my friends or even my colleagues, because here in Bangalore we have a very small team. So it's very difficult to make new friends here in Bangalore. So I cried a lot, and I used to call my mom and dad every day for like 2 3 weeks. I used to call them, and they never complained, and I'm very grateful for that, because and when you're in a very different space, there should be somebody who is understanding. There were a lot of friends who understood me. I called them. I was like, no, no, this is very difficult. I'm feeling very lonely. And they were always saying that it's valid. It's fine to think about that. And even I went to a movie theater alone. So that time, I'm a very independent person and all of that. But when I went to that theater, I was very awkward. It was like everybody has come with their friends, families, or two people together. And it was very difficult. So while the movie was going on, I was on a call with my friend. She was just there. I mean, just like she was accompanying me without being there. So it's completely fine. And that feeling, I think, is you should validate that feeling.
You didn't disturb the other people who were watching the movie, I hope.
No, no. Yeah, she was on mute, but she was there.
Yeah, no, I understand, and it's such a sweet thing
Hmm.
on both your parts for you to acknowledge it and for her to be there. Uh, what if there is no such thing available in
Hmm.
that space? Suppose your parents are not there, your
Hmm.
friend is not available, your network is down. We went through COVID, Madam, all of us
Right.
should be smarter. We aren't for some reason. I don't know why,
Hmm.
but we cannot deny what we felt then.
Right. Yeah.
It was like a bad Hollywood movie
Hmm.
coming to life. It's really happening. We can't. So how and what would you do if you were? Let's just make it more dramatic. If you were in
Hmm.
a room which is shut, you have food and everything, and all other essentials are taken care of, but
Hmm.
there is no human company that you can relate to.
Hmm.
Uh, what would you do then? Because now you know a bit of it.
Hmm.
Still, there is that option of going out or eating good food and watching YouTube or whatever nonsense that one does to
Hmm.
wish away the loneliness.
Right.
But suppose all of that is not available, everything else is available to you. What would you do? Uh, I want you to take a second and imagine yourself in that space. And what would you really tell yourself to, how would you go through that moment?
Hmm. So, it's a very tricky question. It's like a very hypothetical situation, and it's very difficult to imagine also because, yeah, being alone for a long time is difficult. But I would definitely try to heal myself because you are the owner of what you think, and I would definitely try not to think very negative and try to think positive things that has been happening to my life earlier, or maybe recollect some good memories, or try something new in that given space. It's very difficult if somebody just puts you in a room where there's nothing. You try to be creative, and the topic that we had, that nature makes you creative or creative make the so that it's that like I would try to be creative and find some new options that can distract me instead of just thinking about something bad, because if I'm distracting myself with a good thing, I might learn a new skill, or I might learn something new in general. So yeah, finding alternatives to that distraction is makes you creative.
Wonderful. Because when you were giving this answer, I'm presuming that we all forget the Adam and Eve story. I do not know whether it is true or not. Uh, it seems a
Hmm.
little too much also, but there must have been several pairs of Adams and Eves in different
Hmm.
continents for all of us to be as much as we are today in terms of
Hmm.
numbers. At some point, everybody must have been alone in the sense of, say, if you are a small tribe, you're going and the animal lands up winning and you somehow survive because once the animal is full, he doesn't want to eat you and you've survived, but the rest of your
Hmm.
family and friends are gone for
Right,
whatever the
yeah.
reason. And
Hmm.
there must have been times like those, like humankind is like, has been there for a while now.
Hmm.
And that DNA must have also been passed on to us in some or the other form for sure. There are
Right.
other things. A lot of our parents are not necessarily from the area that we come. So tomorrow, if you decide to settle down in a new place and maybe start a family at some point, then you might not be in Maharashtra or doing what you have been brought up in terms of a certain tradition and culture.
Hmm.
You might
Right.
start your own the way, like all of us speak in English. So there is also, it's not just a language, it's also broken a certain mindset that our
Hmm.
parents had and their parents had before that. Obviously, they
Right.
also spoke English, but not to the level that we do, and our kids might go even further than us.
Hmm. Right.
So, in that sense, it's a good thing that you keep coming back. I would want you to stay with the question long after the podcast is over, not because of anything else, but because I think, given that you have been traveling for a while now for your job, you would have some situations like those. Better be prepared now than later.
Hmm.
Uh,
Right.
and positive, negative might not be an answer, is my thinking.
Hmm. Hmm.
How about working at seeing things the way they are and yeah, whatever it is. It's good that you cry, but as you would have known, after 3 weeks of crying, tears also do not solve the problem.
Right. Yeah, yeah, definitely not.
So while it is good to let it out, but finally it can become a habit and then There are people who get into that kind of mode.
Right, yeah.
Okay, more relevant today's question in that sense, we are more connected than ever before. Like you and I are speaking like one on one after a long time, after that podcast, perhaps now or maybe once we might have spoken, I don't remember. But we are in touch very often on Insta, on other media or WhatsApp. Sometimes
Right.
we say things, we form groups, we have unformed groups, all kinds of things have happened. And I generally know what's happening in your life, thoda sa. You generally might know, okay, this is the mindset I am into, seeing the posts and everything, and responding, not responding, whatever. Why would we be lonely, man? अपने पास 10 तरीके हैं to be in touch. So what do you think is missing in this whole ability to connect through media is far more. So why would we be lonely? I want you to go to the base of the question rather than the physicality of, oh, you are working in some place and I'm in another place. Those things are obvious that geographies don't match and age groups don't match and friends don't match. वो सब हो सकता है. But essentially, where is the problem? You have other friends of your age and your liking and stuff like that. I may have those, but still we feel there are days when you just end it and you must have gone through 250 reels of some kind and you're throwing away your phone and saying, okay, God damn it, I still feel alone or lonely. What is it, according to you?
I think that feeling comes from social media because depending on social media and just superficially understanding what people are doing in their life is a very short span. And I think that the blame goes to Reels because the the short span that it has created in everybody's mind. For example, if a person wants to watch a recipe on YouTube, a lady used to watch a 20 minutes video to understand that process, the entire process, the ingredients that are put into the cooking and everything. Now that person is watching shorts. Everybody's understanding and dedication has come to zero because of reels. And I think depending on social media and making mutuals and creating friends on social media is okay till one part, but you need a physical connect and you need to talk to actual humans rather than just chatting on phone. And I think that would make you feel little less lonely and little less um, anxious as well, because it's very easy to chat on phone or just send in messages, send in reels or videos to your friends to be in contact with them for a long time. But I think meeting them and meeting people around you is very important. Even though if you don't have any friends, it's very important to just take your guard down and talk to random people. Try to understand, even though we haven't met before, like we have never met, but still we can connect because there is one thing, humanity is there. Like we have that empathetic nature towards each other to understand what you want to say, what's your perspective. I'm here to listen. It's like that. You should have patience, as Sakshi mentioned as well. Patience is very important. So yeah.
Okay. The only people who seem to have patience these days are doctors.
Even they don't have.
They don't
Everybody
have
is saying.
patience, they have patience. Yeah. Okay. Another question. How do you break free from the reels and the shorts business? What is it that you tell yourself? These are very attractive, and I know again a meme or a short reel, something that said that I was about to go to sleep in 5 minutes, and then I realized it was 3 a.m. Something
Yeah.
that happens to not 3 a.m. I would die by then, but I'm saying there are times when I've wasted 40-45 minutes aram se, man, you're just watching one and then you don't know and suddenly you see the time, ki you wasted time. Uh, there is also, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel helpless about the fact that I've learned nothing in those 45 minutes that I wasted. So if I sit
Yeah.
with you in a coffee shop or having a chai and we talk nonsense also, no, there will be some gain.
Right, right,
The social media doesn't give you that. Even if I see something of really useful philosophy or discovery or something, after 45 minutes, I may not even remember it because I have watched so much crap that it's just come and gone.
right.
I have not given the adequate respect to that knowledge.
Content. Yeah, right.
So, how do you break free from that habit? What is it that you do? Since you said that loneliness cannot be resolved by shorts and reels, I'm saying
Right.
that was the take home that I took from your last answer.
Hmm.
So, what would you?
So, one more example for that question is, so once I was scrolling through reels and I saw a reel saying ki this is going to be the I mean coldest year because of the Pacific Ocean winds, and it's going to be the coldest year. So I took that information, I kept it in my mind. I went to office one day and I was like, it's going to be the coldest in a lot many years. Like it has never been this cold. And then my manager was like, "Oh, you started reading the newspaper." I'm like, "No, no, the information is coming from reels." But you can't trust the information that you're getting from those 30 seconds or 15 seconds. It's very important to go deep into that research if you really want to share something with somebody, some information that you've grasped. You need to do a depth in-depth research of what you're saying. And it's, I think, because of all this and because of all this crap that we're getting from social media, there are rumors or some allegations or any crap. This toxicity is going because of all of this. And to get away from all these things and distractions that we are having is, you should just sit with yourself for some time without some song, without any songs, without anything. You just have to sit with yourself, think about what you want to do, and try to resolve the knots that are in your mind instead of just giving suggestions to somebody or giving some more information to somebody. Just sit with yourself, be calm, and just try to understand what you want to do. Not even in future. I'm not saying कि what do I want to do after 5 years or something. Just sort जो अभी है, just be okay with what you're feeling and try to improve yourself. So I think that thought has made me a little more confident in what I'm doing. So I think that thing is very important. Self understanding is very important. To distract करने के लिए, you can do all of these things that will help you as well.
It sounded like the answer to a question I asked you before. When you are in a room, what would you do? That sounded like a good answer to that as well. Okay. Uh, so you've stayed in 2, 3 places, and I'm uh, using my own experiences and realizing that language was one concern that I had when I was down south. Not because people are bad, people are now better. At least I have always met good people who are willing to talk English and some Hindi as well. Bangalore is reasonably okay that way. But otherwise, also down south, people are kind. If you are okay, you will meet one odd person, and if you don't want to get caught up into no, all South Indians are like this, all North Indians are like this. It is not like that. You might meet one odd person this way or that way. Uh, when there is no language, uh, I did ask you what would you do when there were no humans around. Now, this question is that humans are around you. They may not necessarily be uh, your friends or known to you. These days, we find all those chai wala ads and all, and the neighbor is suddenly welcome, and with one chai, they've resolved the issue of racial discrimination and those kind of things, which is good and nice to have. At least the ads are speaking the right language, if nothing else. In reality, what do you do when you went initially to Trivandrum and now in Bangalore? Once you stop crying after the third week, What is it that you did? Who did you talk to? What happened really? मतलब एक तो पार्ट है कि थक गए रोके कि अभी
Yeah, crying
it
is not an option after one point. You just have to accept the situation.
ट्रू सो यू डिसाइडेड कि अभी यार मम्मी बोलेगी कि रोज फोन कर रही है रो रही है तो अभी एक्चुअली मम्मी भी रोने लगेगी अभी छोड़ देती हूँ लेट्स मी सी व्हाट आई कैन डू अबाउट इट
Right. Hmm.
सो व्हाट डिड यू डू अबाउट इट आई एम सीइंग
Yeah.
देयर वाज नो लैंग्वेज कनेक्ट व्हिच इज व्हाई
Hmm.
आई एम प्रिज्यूमिंग द crying went on for 3 weeks instead of 1 week because
Yeah.
अब
Yeah.
किसको जाके बोलूं वो तो समझेंगे ही नहीं क्यों रो रही
Hmm. Right. Yeah. So there was this auntie in my hostel in Trivandrum. So she didn't understand English, Hindi, nothing, only Malayalam. So it was very, and she was so sweet. Even if I'm not understanding the language that she's speaking, so what she used to do is there were three aunties in my PG in the canteen cafeteria. So one was very rude. She was like, "Khana hai to khao, warna chale jao. Come on time, go on time. I have to clean everything and go." But this Chechi. So Chechi is the word that Malayalis call for auntie or anything like sister or something like that. So that Chechi was like she used to come from inside, ekdam cinematic, ekdam gana ga ke. She didn't even realize that she's singing very beautifully. Like honestly, आप मुंबई आ सकते हो. It's like that. It's better than that. So she didn't realize her talent, but it was so beautiful. She was so empathetic to all the kids wherever you are from, even if you're from North, even if you're from South, not even India, she was so good with everybody. And it was like I used to connect with her. I used to call her in my room. I used to just sit. She used to say something in Malayalam, blabber something in Malayalam, but I'm like, okay, okay. But it was very nice to feel that thing because she had a pure heart. She wanted to converse with me, but just the barrier was of language. But I think that's fine. I used to understand some things, and I put in efforts to talk to her by learning Malayalam. I actually learned a lot of things just to talk to her and to understand what she's saying. I think, yeah, that was for like 10 months of Malayalam and Malayali people around you. I learned a lot in that, even though language was a barrier. And other people speak in Hindi, English, it's fine. But Trivandrum made me a lot mature in understanding कि language barrier नहीं है. You just need to be patient to understand what the other person is saying. And instead of coming to conclusions कि South Indians ऐसे है, North Indians ऐसे है, ऐसा नहीं है. Everybody same frustration levels होते हैं and you just need to respect that.
my you've grown wiser since your college very fast I must say and another question, not related to the topic that we are speaking on today. Why is it that such people are not our role models? And this is what you said. I felt, oh, I could just feel her vibe. I haven't seen her. I don't know her from anyone. But what you said is so relatable. So many times you meet such people and uh, uh, some time back onwards, I have tried to be that kind of person whenever possible. Obviously, there are moods, and I'm young, and I'm proud, and I'm stupid. So all those things come in between. But more or less, just being kind to everyone. Uh, I have a teenage kid, so very often when I talk to her, though, this is one thing I wanted. I said, okay, before I leave this world, at least she should be kind. I have always had problem with not the kids, but their parents. Everybody is so uptight and you take care of your own and तुम्हारा कार, तुम्हारा घर, तुम्हारा खाना, तुम्हारा ये. This is like, excuse me, it doesn't work like that. It's a huge
Right.
world and everybody comes with some problem that we may not understand. Not that you're supposed to sit down and understand everybody's point of view. There are days when you got to forgive yourself also for dumb days. You acted like an
Right.
ass. It's okay. So my question to you, why is it, would you, Matlab, I am now putting this out to you, would you even for a moment have thought that I want to become like her when I grow up?
Definitely. I thought it so many times.
Yeah.
so many times, because this kind of kindness, I don't think you can buy from somewhere or somebody can teach you. It's just that what you want to be, how kind you want to be as an individual. And every time I just look at her, I used to like sit in the canteen, even though there's nobody in the cafeteria. ऐसे चाय पीने के लिए I used to sit with her, and I just used to think कि इतना kindness अगर है, the world could have been a better place. And I think we can do it. Like, it's not ki everybody is rude, somebody is rude or something is that. It's just that I think she must have some frustrations, and she must, I mean, she could have taken it out on somebody. She must
Hmm.
have had some bad days, but it was her choice to be kind to other people even though she is going through something. तो ऐसे किसी पे गुस्सा निकालने से कोई होगा नहीं. I mean, there's no solution to that.
Yeah.
And I've felt that thing ki ye this is inspiring. This is actually inspiring. Instead of just having good skills कि मैं Photoshop पे ये कर सकती हूँ, Photoshop पे ये कर सकती हूँ, Figma सीख सकती हूँ. No, it's not about skills. And even in my team, my manager also inspires me a lot. मैंने उनको बोला कि एक टाइम पे we were doing this hiring thing in our team. So I was like, there's this guy who is not really good at what he's doing. Like, if we want someone, we can have a very efficient person. So they were like, vibe match honi chahiye, skills nahi. Skills can be taught, but what kind of a personality that person has, what kind of a vibe that person will give in the team space, that is important. And then I was like, ऐसा अगर सारे कंपनीज में होगा, it's crazy like to think about that at such a manager level in such a huge corporate setting is great, and that is very inspiring. So these small things are
Yeah.
crazy.
One last question. How do
Yes.
you take these learnings of loneliness? These are bad days. matlab, We are talking nicely about it. We have this uh, the benefit of hindsight. Now that they have happened, they are not happening to
Hmm.
you right now. So say we were having this podcast right in the middle of when you had this bout of loneliness, and evening you were like 6:30, मम्मी के साथ रोना है, ये कहाँ बीच में podcast खोल रहा है? Sorry, I'm making a joke of it, but I like that because I think even our worries are very earthy, as our highs are also earthy only. मैंने कोई
Right, right.
आसमान तक पहुंच नहीं रहा है. It's okay.
Hmm.
So how have you taken this whole experience back into your work as a design person? What is it that has changed or not changed according to you? What would you tell? Okay, I can even simplify it. What would you tell the Janvi who was in college,
Hmm.
who was a topper? We had that topic for you.
Hmm.
How do toppers look at life kind of thought.
Right.
So that must have been quite a bit of this. Even during that time, you had some issues, and I think your parents had helped you out, and your dad had said some nice things. Now that I remember.
Hmm.
So, what is it that you yourself will be your parent for a while and tell the
Right.
younger Janvi or the lonely Janvi on a certain day when it's very difficult to think straight?
Hmm. I would definitely tell a lot of things, because at that time, I don't think you have the capacity to listen to somebody, or if somebody is consoling you, I don't think कि वैसा हो सकता है कि externally कोई बता रहा है and then you're understanding कि नहीं नहीं मुझे lonely नहीं feel करना है. But if I would get an opportunity to tell the older Janvi, the topper Janvi कि इतना butterflies नहीं होता है life में. There are some phases where you have to face a lot of things by yourself, and you just have to validate what you're thinking and just accept the situation and just move on. And it's very easy to say ki move on karo and all of that. It's very easy to say, but at that point you might think ki it's very difficult to move on from that situation or not feel lonely. But I think you can find distractions which will help you as to make a good person from yourself. So I think, yeah, distracting yourself in good terms will help you.
I have a problem with your liberal use of the word distraction. These are not distractions. It is attraction to the right thing.
Attraction. Right, right, definitely. Yeah.
Because then you are putting down the solution more than you are putting up the entire
Hmm.
problem. They are
Right,
equals
understood.
because if you are able to negate that, it is
Hmm.
a choice of a mindscape that you're choosing in that moment. I think that is
Right.
very important to acknowledge as much as you acknowledge the
Hmm.
loneliness that you are choosing to think other things. And it is also right because practically, even if all 7 billion or 6 billion, whoever, then whatever the number of people we are on earth are lonely at
Hmm.
that point of time, still there is a bigger earth. There are trees, there are germs, there are
Hmm.
lions and tigers, how many ever are left.
Hmm.
But बहुत बड़ी दुनिया है यार, माने come on, we can't be the everything that the world has right now.
Right, right.
Uh,
Definitely.
the subset of the question was, how does this knowledge transfer to your work? You did give an example of your manager, but
Um,
for yourself,
it makes me more empathetic, and why I'm using this word a lot right now. And I used to use this word in college as well, but I didn't know the meaning of this word.
yes.
And being empathetic is a huge thing. It's not कि मैंने स्कूल में सीखा, मैंने कॉलेज में सीखा ये word and I'm just using it randomly. And there is a lot of value in that word. And instead of in terms of how it helps in my work is I'm not biased to the people who are like really using that app or using that product, but I try to understand the people who find difficulty in using that product, not just
Mhm.
कि जो लोग use कर रहे हैं and everything is fine. So उस पे ज्यादा फोकस हो रहा है कि क्या प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है लोगों को, एंड understanding that is affecting the entire product journey. So that is helping me a lot after going through all these things, being lonely, being happy in life. So all these experiences is helping me construct good products or good experiences in general.
Okay. This is this is a lovely last line to the answers you've given, because loneliness
Mhm.
leads to a betterment of the spirit of service. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful answer. Uh, I'm so blessed to have the company of people like you who are, people look to the future with either a lot of optimism or pessimism
Mhm.
and saying the world is like this and the new generation is like this or like that. I think all generations are more or less the same, and there are good people. I have been blessed to have good company throughout my life, good friends, good elders,
Mhm.
uh, some not so good elders also who turn out to be giving great lessons on what I would not want to be at times.
Definitely.
But you guys are amazing, and thank you so much, Janvi. I really hope you come to Bombay one of these days, and I'll treat you to a good chai for sure. Thank you so much.
Definitely. And I think it's a great platform because talking to you gives a different perspective. Ki you just self retrospect and you think about what I could have thought when I was in that situation. And I think listening to your podcasts and the people that you cast in your podcasts is really great. And I think me and Sanjeet have really good conversations on the podcast that you do. And it's a great learning, and I think it's very helpful, and more people should follow you and try to connect.
Yeah, I've been trying to get all of you together. So Sanjeet was one of the guys. He said
Mm.
next week. I said no. I have got one bakra today. I'm not letting go of that. And luckily, we had Sakshi for a brief while. Uh, Thank you so much.
Right,
Hopefully, we shall all meet one of these days and talk about all and sundry and understand life in conversations. Thank you so much for now.
right, definitely. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye bye. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.